Hello everybody, I'm Nora Burrows. Today I want to make teeny tiny little houses using my crumbs. My crumb bin here has gotten out of control and I need to make a project with these, so we're going to make small houses. Now those of you who are not familiar with crumb pieces of fabric, crumbs are your teeny tiniest little pieces of scraps. They're like smaller than the palm of your hand. Let me show you what I'm thinking. I'm going to start constructing 3 houses all at once. So for this one, this will be my roof, this will be the house, and then this will be the background. For this one, this will be the roof, house, background, and the third one is roof, house, background. Some of these pieces are bigger than crumbs. This is certainly a scrap. That's not a crumb, but many of these are crumbs. This is a crumb. But I want my shapes to be kind of wonky. So the first thing I'm going to do is attach this piece to my roof and these 2 pieces to each side of my house. So I'll sew these right sides together, 1/4 inch, and iron. Same with these, right sides together and the other side as well. I am going to do some trimming now. I'm going to trim a straight line right across the top of my roof on the other side. And let's see, that piece will probably work okay. So I'll attach this right sides together and sew 1/4 inch. I'm also going to start working on this other house. This one, I'm not sure how this is going to come out because this is a pretty small piece for the body of the house. But I have these triangles here and I'm going to sew, let's actually get rid of this selvage. And I'm going to put 1 triangle on either side, sew this on, cut it straight, and then I'll sew the other triangle on. And let's see what I have left of my background here. I think what I'll do is let's cut this in half. Actually, we'll cut it in half this way. And I'll sew 1 piece. Let's see. Well, that was kind of a mistake, but that's okay. We'll sew 1 piece onto each side like that. I'm going to cut a straight line along the top of my house unit here. And 1 along the bottom of my roof. Now I'm going to place my roof kind of how I want it. And you can look at it, you can go back and forth to the right or left. I'm going to kind of center it-ish, right sides together, and sew 1/4 inch right along this line. Now my other house here, I am super interested to see how this comes out. Let's look at the roof first. So the roof has kind of this divot here. So I'm going to try and get rid of that. I'm going to make a straight line from this corner to the corner that meets the sky up there. And then trim the body of my house unit. That's a pretty cute house. Right sides together, just like the other one. I made this one while I was making this one. I changed the background. I think when I initially showed my fabrics for this, I had a purple background, which in hindsight, I actually think I would have liked a little bit better than the white. But let's take these one at a time. I think I can make some of these better, but let's just start by squaring them up. We'll start with this little tiny one here, our smallest house. And I'm gonna I'll need to add more fabric around, but now that I've cut that straight line, I'm going to use my ruler. I'm going to use the straight line over here to cut straight line on this side. And you can see that there's some pieces that will need to be added on both sides, and that's fine. And then I'll square it up on the bottom here. and the top. So the bottom is fine. I need a little bit on the top right and left. I wonder if I can just use this tiny piece here. That might be too small. I'll take this piece here and add it to this side. And then once I trim, I'll have some leftover of this and I'll add it to the other side. Here I go. I'm going to trim this up. And now I'll add this over here. I've trimmed this piece in the same way, so I need to add a section here and here. So I think this one will work, right sides together. Open it up and I'll trim a 90-degree angle. Same with the other side over here. Then we're gonna embellish some of these blocks to make them a little bit more interesting. Here are my 3 houses. I'm not really super happy with any of them. I was happy with this one, but I don't know what I was thinking. I got this house part so misaligned. This is like a perfect triangle up here and the house is all the way to the side. But not to fear, I do have some ideas on how to make these better. So let's start with the baby down here. I am going to make a little moon for this guy. First of all, I think I'm gonna put grass, a layer of green, a strip of green at the bottom of each of these to add a little bit of grass, which means I can add other things around them, which I think will be helpful. This does not have to be a perfect circle. These are kind of folk arty, and in folk arty things, scale doesn't have to be the size, and you don't have to necessarily be able to tell what everything is in the picture. There's my moon. I'm just gonna top stitch right on top of this, and then I'll add a strip of green to the bottom. Let's see what I have here. Maybe that could be kind of cool. Next, let's take a look at this one. This one, I don't know what's going on with this one. I'm gonna add a roof to it. I think I'll try and add this. Now, as you can see, this is already on the diagonal here. So if I just cut up and trim it a bit. And I think I need to trim it a little more because I have to take into account my seam allowance up here. That's a little better. And what else? Maybe a door. Let's see if I cut this. Trim it a bit so it's not as long. I think that's a little better. And then let's see for the grass. I'll do this. So I'm just gonna top stitch the door and the chimney, and then once I've done that, I'll sew right sides together. I'll put right sides together, sew 1/4 inch, and open it up. But let's think about this one for a minute. I have this piece here that I think I'd like to make a chimney out of maybe. And maybe I'll add a little bush in one of the corners. So let's see how I can do that. Maybe if I make an angle. And then like that, perhaps. And then let's try and make a bush. I saw this technique recently. Maybe it was on, can't remember where it was, but if you scrunch this up and then you cut, it makes like a naturally
jagged edge in theory. Also makes a big mess. Let's see if this gets to be like a jaggedy edged bush. Or what about this here? Yeah, that's kind of cool. And I'd like to do either a door or a window. This is actually the perfect size window, but it doesn't really go. And then I wonder, maybe I could do this on the other side. And then for the grass, yeah, that's good for the grass. This would be backed all the way up against the edge here. Move that out a bit. Let me find a door. Maybe this for the door. A little smaller. All right, let's sew these and see how it goes. I had an idea. I've sewn on the door. I still need to add the chimney, but I thought what I would do is I had this extra piece of this. I would cut out these trees and then sew them onto the background so that it looks like these trees kind of extend. I can even do this one down so it doesn't look like it's off kilter there. Same with this one going up, and then I'll add my chimney on top. I've sewn my beech trees on here, and I just sewed on this green strip at the bottom, which I'm going to take off because this feels more like a winter scene to me, and the green just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think instead I'm going to put on this gray, and I like that a lot better. My 3 houses are done. I think they're super cute. Let's take a look. This first one, I added on this pillar here. It's supposed to kind of look like a carport because it was just driving me crazy how this, there's a difference between something looking cool and wonky and something just looking like it's a mistake, and this was a mistake, which is why it looked like a mistake. So hopefully that fixes it a little bit. In addition, taking into account seam allowance is important in these. I think I got a little too close to the top for the roof and the moon, so it's really going to get cut pretty close, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about it. This one might be one of my favorites. This ended up looking kind of like a cabin in the woods, I think. It's kind of a snowy winter scene, much different than the other ones. And you could even add like a snowman down here or something cool like that, something wintry. This one is just pretty fun, bright geometric patterns and colors. And this grass down here was another one that I should have taken into account the seam allowance because there was a lot more of this light colored grass before I sewed it onto the dark piece underneath. So those are just things to think about. I'm gonna make a couple more. We're gonna go faster since we know how to do this, but these are a lot of fun. Now, the only thing I'll say is I started these for the purpose of using up my teeny tiny scraps because I had accumulated so many. And I have to say that these take kind of a long time and they don't use up all that many tiny scraps. So that's just something to keep in mind in terms of purpose and such. But let's make a couple more. The next 3 I'm going to make this one with a yellow roof, pink house, and then the black and white background. This is going to be the pink checkerboard roof, red star house, and then this purple background that I was going to use last time, so I'll use it this time. And finally, this one, this is going to be the roof, and then I'm not sure, I might do this is the house or this is the house, and then a darker black and white background than that one. I have my 3 houses complete here. They're a little boring at the moment, but let me tell you what I'm gonna do with them. We'll start with this one. I have this polka dot fabric that I'll add to the bottom as kind of the grass. And then this is gonna be super cute. I'm gonna sew these pigs onto the grass. add a door. Now this door fabric is the same fabric that we used on a previous house. And then I think I'm gonna cut out these stars and then kind of place the stars along the background. So that's this house. For this one, I'm gonna add this orange to the bottom, and then I'm gonna cut out these black, yellow, and white flowers and kind of stick those along the base. And for the third one, I'm a little stuck on the third one. I definitely wanna add this door, and I made the door kind of wonky on purpose. It's like a little thicker at the top than on the bottom. And I kind of wanted to do something that looked like water, but I'd like to up the game a little bit and even do something more interesting with the water, but I don't know what that is. So I think I'll just attach that for now and then think about it. I finished the 3 houses. I'm really happy with them. I did them a little bit differently than what we had initially talked about, for a couple reasons. Primarily, I messed up one of the grasses. I attached the wrong grass to the wrong house, and it kind of just created a snowball effect with everything else. But let's take a look at this. I kind of added these flowers here that I cut out from a fabric. I thought they kind of looked like bushes. I think the door is so cute. Little round window, the chimney. I may embroider some smoke coming out of the chimney. I think that could add a nice little detail. But I think this one is really successful. The 3 little stars up here. Now, I had initially said I was gonna put these stars on this one, but the fabric that I was using had both of these stars in the fabric, so I decided to use it on both. This one, I wish that the pigs stood out a little bit more. I'm not totally happy with the grass, but I ended up cutting out these trees, which I think are really fun. And then obviously the stars are cute. I like this one. I think that this was successful. I think the roof fabric works well. Now for some of these, most of the pieces like the door, I just put a little bit of glue stick on the back, glued it on, and then top stitched around. But for some of these smaller pieces, like the stars and the pigs, I ended up using a little bit of Wonder Under. I put the Wonder Under on the back of the fabric, cut out my pieces, peeled off the backing of the Wonder Under, stuck them on with my iron, and then top stitch. So if you know how to use Wonder Under, all that I said will make sense. And if not, I'm sure there's like 100 tutorials on how to use Wonder Under, but it's a really great product. Then this is the last one. I had said I was gonna put these little flowers. I think I had said I was gonna do it on this one, but I think it just, when I cut it out, I was like, that looks so much like a sun. So I added some clouds in the back. In the background. This one is really fun. I may embroider a little doorknob on this one. This one is seemingly kind of simple, even though it has kind of this elaborate sky, but part of me wishes something was kind of down here, but you know, there's a lot going on with this, especially in terms of the color. It's a lot happening. Let's look at all 6 of them together. They're so cute as a little family all together. The other thing that could work well is you could cut these down. Let's see, how big is this one? This one is about 5.5 by 5 inches. I like to make coasters. I have a video on coasters that I make. And actually I was working on coasters with my scraps as I was working on these at the same time. So here's another thing you can do. These are the coaster tops. Another thing that you can do with your teeny tiny pieces. Like I said, I have a video on making these coasters, but these are just the tops. Anyway, these are about the right size. My coaster tops are 5 inches square. This one was 5 inches by 5.5. Or 5.5 by 5. You could certainly cut this down to be coaster size. This one is too small, but you could expand to make it a little bit bigger with a border. I think they'd be really cute coasters is the point of what I'm trying to say here. Love them. These are so fun. I hope this gave you a little bit of inspiration. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.